everybody, I'm Michael Monaco.
And I'm Bobby Salveson, and we are the HazMat Guys, bringing you the knowledge and insight to make your job a little bit easier and safer. But before today's show, let's listen to our sponsors. Hey guys, when you're on a hazmat run, we want you to be safe. We want you to feel confident that you have the best equipment available and that you are ready to respond. That's where All Safe Industries comes to mind. They have technical experts on staff that offer the latest in detection and emergency response equipment from the most reputable brands in the industry. All Safe Industries takes the time to understand your needs, and they offer unique options in their in-case calibration gas detection kits. They also hold a GSA contract and offer GSA pricing to state and local agencies. All Safe Industries is veteran-owned and has been serving first responders from coast to coast since 1996. Visit allsafeindustries.com or call 888-972-3389. That spells 8889-SAFETY. Hey guys, you know we say it all the time. In emergency responses, clear and reliable radio communication is essential. And that's why Cavcom's award-winning Talk Through Your Ears technology is compatible with any two-way radio, any suit, and any respirator. Visit CavComInc.com, that's CAVCOMINC.com, or call them at 866-547-4988.
Now let's get into the show.
Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the HazMat Guys. Today we are going to be continuing our conversation from the last 2 weeks about propane. I think some random dude kind of called us up and called us out on a couple things, so he's gonna slap our pee-pee around a little bit for some information and educate us.
Yeah, and we actually, it's funny because the timing of this just popped out of nowhere. We actually got an email from Marcus Dunlap that pertained to this, and he's like, well, are you going to talk about this? And I'm like, crap, man, we're already we're doing this. So without getting into this right this second, I just want to let everyone know that we are going to be in Baltimore. We are going to be, what the hell is it, June 12th or something like that?
The 12th to the 16th.
Yeah, for 2019. Everybody that's not a square is going to be there, if I can speak in 1950s terms.
I think all the squares will be there. I think the whole point of the conference is the squares.
Yes, and I'm not going to allude too much to this, but there might be something big happening.
Huge. I will say that. And more details to follow once things get a little more shuffled out. But very exciting stuff that's coming by way of Baltimore. And also, we'll be there. So that's exciting in itself. All right. So
right.
we it's going to be fun. And no, we're not talking about passing out on the sidewalk and hanging out with the homeless like we did last year. That was fun. No. But we the bonds were pretty big. Anyway.
Right.
So we talked about a 331 that was upside down last week.
Right.
With some more information that we wanted to punch in with that. So why don't you kind of get us rolling, Bob?
Yeah. So we're going to talk about is the way to now handle it. We talked about a couple of things. We talked about a lot of crap, but we're leading to this thing, and we're basically boiling it down to three different methodologies. And we brought on a friend of ours that's extreme. This is basically what he does, and we couldn't think of a better person to bring on
that would come
than
on.
Ron. So yeah, so we'd like to introduce Ron Huffman.
Evening, gentlemen. Thanks for having me come on.
Awesome, man. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Currently, I'm a 30-year career firefighter, city of Newcastle, Indiana. Spent 14 years in the propane industry. I was the guy inside crawling in and rebuilding the valves and the trucks. And we used to cut the bobtails off the frames and the transport undercarriages off and rebuild them. Yeah. So that's where I got my propane start. I did that for 14 years and been doing the firefighting thing. Built a tank and a tree 30 years ago, and I've been traveling the state of Indiana and surrounding area for 30 years doing propane classes and doing this now too.
Nice. So you just kind of started.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just all once.
Just picked it up.
Sounds good.
All right. So let's talk about, I want to spend a couple minutes in talking about what I think the vast majority of people that are handling propane are doing, and that's a gas flare or a liquid flare. But first, before we get into that, why? Why would we flare?
Well, you flare for one of two reasons. You either want vapor space, you want to reduce pressure, or you want to gain reduce the volume of the tank.
Okay, but before I even get to, and I agree 100% with that, but the reason why I'm flaring, I mean, if I have a reset pressure relief valve, it's over. I'm flaring when the tank is compromised, correct? Or the
Yes.
valve.
Sometimes, yes.
Right. What do you mean sometimes?
Well, it may not be the tank itself. It could be piping. It could be, just a leak that is not fixable without getting rid of the product.
Okay. And so our thought is get this stuff out to, we'll consume it with flame or get it out. If I can transfer it, I'll transfer it. But it's basically, I'm abandoning the vessel it's in right now, depressurizing it.
Yes, we're getting rid of the product.
I get it. Okay.
Would you ever flare just to? You had mentioned pressure before. Would you ever flare just to get pressure down and then be like, okay,
Sure.
we hit the pressure that we want to hit. Let's stop the flare and move on.
When I do my program, we talk about 100-pound cylinders like on a food truck. And you take a cylinder that's been setting inside a cradle or inside some supporting mechanism, and we've got a leak at the bottom of it. I don't know if that leak is a hole in the very bottom or where the entire ring is rusted all the way around. If I grab that bottle and try to pull it out of there, am I going to tear that 100-pound cylinder clear in two? In that case, I'm going to flare it to what I consider gauge 0 before I do anything.
Right. And we've talked about this in the past episodes where if you evacuate the headspace and it boils itself into a stupor, that's what Ron's talking about. You can basically now just open the top and pour it out.
Pretty much, yeah. As long as it stays that cold.
Okay. So, Mike, why don't we talk a little bit about the difference of why I would want to do a flare in the gaseous state, meaning that the tank is, we'll say, right side up.
Okay.
And in the liquid state. What's the advantages and the disadvantages for each one?
Well, from our point of view, Bob, from the first responder, I guess it's.
I would say,
I would say it's a matter of time for us.
If we're on overtime,
yeah, man. If we're getting close to the end of the tour, we're gonna want to burn off the vapors because it takes. We've said joking around before it takes 270 times longer to flare the vapors, but it doesn't. I mean,
No.
it's still pretty quick, but it's a F load quicker to do the liquid. And it looks a lot cooler.
Yeah, I had a gentleman contact me on the small flare that I got hold of. And they asked me, so how quick can you flare off a 20-pound cylinder just flaring vapor? And I said, well, I don't know. Let me light it and find out. So I weighed the tank, went out and burned it for an hour, went back in, weighed the tank, and I did that for 4 hours.
Wow.
4 hours later, I still had 1.7 gallons of liquid in a 20-pound cylinder because it auto-refrigerated down and could not contain a flame at that point.
And remember, guys, when you're doing this, you're flaring the vapor. It's trying to boil to create the vapor, and it's getting colder and colder, which means that the vapor production is going down and down and down, and you're kind of fighting against that.
Yeah, and I could see that in the chart when I started looking at the actual production. First hour, we burnt like 1.5 gallons, and after that, it was less than a half a gallon per hour, and it just takes a lot longer to burn just vapor.
Okay, so now let's flip the tank. And I'm thinking about the propane barbecue tank just for small scalability. If I turn this thing over and I flare off the liquid, what's my difference now?
Did the same test with the same piece of equipment. It took 3.5 minutes.
3.5 minutes. All right, so maybe I'm wrong. Maybe 270 times is what we're actually looking at.
Maybe.
Yeah. All right. So why would I want, besides time, why would I want to do a vapor versus a liquid?
Well, if you're burning vapor, you're typically burning vapor to reduce internal pressure because either the tank is compromised or you just need to get the pressure down so that you could repair the tank. If you freeze one down to zero, basically zero, and you won't get it to absolute zero, you can unscrew a broken fitting, a relief valve, put some pipe dope and thread tape on one and screw it back in there. And once it warms up, that tank's back in service.
Right. So now let's just explain out what Ron just said, because there's a lot of good things in there. He's saying that if I was to let this thing boil itself stupid, I could replace it. Now, in a 20-pound propane cylinder, that's not a big deal. But when I'm talking about a 1,000, 2,000-gallon thing, that's a big deal because I don't have to move all that, right? So if I want to reduce pressure, I do the vapor. If I want to move it quickly, I do the liquid. Would you concur?
Absolutely.
So it's almost a matter of, am I saving the product or am I getting rid of the product? If I'm saving the product, I'm doing vapor. If I want to get rid of the product, I'm doing liquid.
Good point.
You know, if I'm saving the product, it's because I think I can and I can get the job done. I'm not saving the product just to save the product.
Okay.
No, but or just logistically, it would take, where am I going to put it in? You know, like, I don't have a place to put it. So I'm just going to burn it off.
Right.
You know, so two considerations. But really, the
liquid's a lot more fun anyway.
Right. It certainly is. It's much bigger.
Flame on.
So really the reason why, not the reason why, we always like to hang out with you, Ron, and that, and I mean that.
Okay, thank you.
Is this new technique, and this is something you kind of specialize in, is water injection. Can you give us the overview of what this means?
Yeah, well, first off, I didn't invent it. I'm a firm believer in going to every class you can. Like I said, I've been doing this for 30 years, and I still sit in other people's propane classes because they know something, they've done something different. And I sat in Ron Gore's class a few years ago, and I listened to his spiel on water injection, and I thought, this is simple stuff. This will work. So for a basic, if I can get water in the tank at a pressure higher than the tank's pressure, the water will go to the bottom. A liquid leak coming out of the bottom will convert to a water leak. Typically, what we see in our training evolutions is about 15 seconds, and we go from a liquid propane billowing cloud to a water leak. And once I get that billowing cloud stopped, we no longer have that big vapor production and that explosive cloud. We can get in there and see what's going on. Maybe I can fix it, maybe I can't, but you can see.
Did you say 15 seconds?
Yeah, there's a video that I've got out there, and it's a evolution we did down in Florida. And from the time the guys actually open the valve until it converts from this billowing vapor cloud to a water leak, to where you can walk up to it, and it's 15 seconds. And that's going to be different on every tank. So, for example, every tank is going to have a piece that's leaking. That piece is probably going to be an internal valve or a check valve or an excess flow, something sticking up inside the tank. If it's leaking through that system, I have to get water above that piece. So if that piece is sticking up a half inch, it takes this much water. If it's sticking up 2 inches, it takes this much water to get above it.
Mm-hmm.
So the amount of water you put in, the amount of time it is all based on the orifice. Okay. So if you're trying to put water in through a POL, I've got a very small orifice I'm feeding it through. It's going to take longer to get enough water in. If I'm putting it through a spray fill on a 331, I'm going to get water in a lot faster.
So in the scenario that we had talked about in the prior 2 weeks with the tank being flipped over on that side, the water injection, as if that leak was in the piping and it was halfway through the tank, probably wouldn't have been the best scenario to use it in, right?
Not initially.
Okay.
Now you're going, what do you mean not initially?
Yeah.
Okay. So here's what you can do. Go ahead and hook up your flare. All of your piping is now going to be horizontal in the center of the tank if it's laying completely on its side.
Okay.
So you hook up a flare and you're flaring liquid out of the vapor lines and the liquid lines in the center of the tank.
Right.
Okay.
As you burn that down and you get rid of that product, you're going to get down into the vapor space again. If you take and inject water into that tank, you can lift the liquid back up a little bit and go back to a liquid burn.
Oh,
holy crap.
Now, oh my God. I just connect. Dude, like, full disclosure, guys, everybody that's listening, you would think that we
know that?
we
like that would make sense?
We give the
like,
illusion
holy
that we
crap.
know.
That makes so much sense. I am annoyed that I'm sitting here with a puzzled look on my face, on my stupid face, waiting for Ron to explain why I would water inject on a turned over vehicle like that.
See, I'm seriously. I swear to God, I never understood the water injection thing. I was a novice, and I was almost too ashamed to even ask about it. And I always assumed, okay, we're going to play the whole specific gravity game here. We're going to put water in, the petroleum is going to float to the top, and we're going to use that float to make a water leak, which is what Ron's saying, and drive the petroleum out the top. And when you said to me just, 3 minutes ago, you're like, yeah, and when you got water shooting out, and I'm like, what is this going to be, like a sprinkler? How fast is this going to be consumed? Now it makes sense. You're driving water into the tank at a pressure that's greater than the pressure in the headspace in order to keep the petroleum.
Right. You want at least 20 psi more or above into that tank. So as you lift that liquid, just go up and add whatever you think you've done, add it in and stop. Let it go back to vapor. Add a little more. Let it go back to vapor. Sooner or later, you're going to get to the point to where you have water coming out of your flare. Let the water blow out. Now just burn vapor, and you've basically inerted the tank.
All right. So this does, I'm just, again, I am coming in with fresh eyes because I really did not understand this, but now I got a couple questions.
Okay.
I'm throwing in 55-degree Fahrenheit water into this thing. This thing is punching itself stupid. It's getting cold. My water's heating it up, meaning that the flaring is going faster and more furious.
Kind of.
But on the liquid, would that really matter?
No, because what's going to happen, and what we see typically is on the 100-pound cylinder, when we do that evolution, when we take it to gauge zero and we inject, we see the pressure increase. We see the vapor leak get bigger because once the vapor pressure is gone, our leak is reduced. We put a little water in it, and that water goes to the bottom. And as soon as that water gets to the bottom, what happens to that water when it gets down at sub-zero propane? If one of the leaks at the bottom, what happens is it freezes solid and locks up the bottom of the tank, puts a freeze plug in it.
And then basically you just contain the leak.
Yeah, you contain the leak, and if you want, you can just keep flaring vapor. And then once you get enough water in, and you really think you're capable of moving the tank, flip it upside down, finish burning off the liquid, and it'll go a lot quicker. And the ice plug's still stuck in the bottom of it. Holy
crap! So you hold on. So wow. So you did. I get it. I get it.
It's kind of cool.
You didn't just like create an ice patch. Like it's kind of, you didn't create an ice patch. You created a goddamn dam inside the tank.
Yes, exactly.
You've heard us talk about First Line Technologies' Dahlgren Decon solution and their FiberTech wipes and mitts. They've just come out with Enhanced Decon Systems Kit, which contains everything you need to quickly decontaminate 6 to 24 operators and all their gear in one fully equipped grab-it-and-go bag. This kit has been HazMat team tested and approved, and it's the only full-team modified decon kit with the power of Dahlgren Decon and FiberTech wipes to counter hundreds of known and emerging threats. The EDS kit is perfect for incidents where a small footprint, low logistics decontamination SOP is appropriate. Are you operating in a harsh environment? No problem. Whether it's minus 10 or 104 degrees F, Dahlgren Decon will maintain its effectiveness and can be easily applied to neutralize threats. The kit is stable in temperatures from minus 40 to 160 degrees F if you carry the RSDL with you. If you use all the consumables in the kit, unlike other rapid deployment kits, you do not need to buy a complete kit to resupply. Just purchase one of the First Line EDS replenishment packs and order just the elements you need. When ounces count and the clock is ticking, grab the EDS kit and go. Call the guys at First Line Technology for more information or a quote at 703-955-7510 or email them at sales@firstlinetech.com. Yeah.
So as long as you keep pulling vapor off, whatever you put in there, I don't care if it's 55 degrees or 80 degrees, it's going to get cold. So we're going to convert that to ice.
Okay, I have two small questions for you. Does this work on 20-pound barbecue propane cylinders? Like, does it matter the size?
I wouldn't waste my time. If I,
Okay.
if I got a 20 pounder, the only reason I'd even do 100 is because I think the tank is too dangerous to move in its current location.
Gotcha.
Now,
Yeah.
Also in this, we see the pressure in that 100-pounder jump from 0 to about 50 is what we typically see. So if we had a day that we were out already at 100 in the tank and we've dropped it to 0 and it comes back up to 50, I'm still half what it had in it to begin with. So yeah, it was a compromised tank, but I've still reduced the pressure quite a bit.
Right. The stress on the tank is much
A lot
reduced.
less.
Now,
Absolutely. Now, on that same thing, when we do our training tank, which is a 650 gallon, or you do a bobtail or a transport or a bulk storage, that small amount of water you put in there doesn't warm up enough propane or increase the pressure enough for you to see it. So what I've done is I just ordered them. I haven't got them and played with them yet, but I ordered 2 electronic digital pressure gauges to put in the system so I can watch and see exactly what it does.
I was just going to ask you that. How do I know what the pressure in the tank is?
well, the flow. Yeah, it's going to be dependent on temperatures. You're going to be your best gauge.
Yeah, we know what the temperatures of propane are just by its physical properties. So at 60 degrees, propane is 95 psi. At 70 degrees, it's this. At 40 degrees, it's this. So as long as I know what the temperature is outside and we've not introduced heat into the tank, which increases the pressure, or flared vapor off the tank, which decreases pressure, I know that if I pump it this, I'm going to be above what I need. In the system we've got, twice in classes, we've been standing there and I'd have to tell the guys, okay, it's time turned on. They turn it on and nothing happens. And I'm standing there looking at this thing going, that vapor cloud should be gone.
Mm-hmm.
I stand there and look at it, and finally I look over at the pump operator and say, what are you pumping at? And it won't be enough. So what happens is the soft-seated check in the system, which protects it from backflow, has stopped everything from going back to the tank, but nothing's being forced into the tank. So it just sits there and looks at you until you get your pressures right.
Can you? Is there a way to take the temperature of the tank? Like, can I? So my thought process is, I'm just thinking about my brother-in-law in Salt Lake City. He's a firefighter in Salt Lake City, right? So
yes,
you're up propane tank high on the mountains, freaking chilly as F. Comes down to the valley. Something happens. Somebody goes, oh, the pressure must be this because it's 100 degrees out, but he was just up in the mountains where it was snowing. So
right.
like, how do you properly gauge the temperature of the liquid? And if you can't do that, what are your other options?
Well, there's a couple of different ways. Obviously, we've got digital units and we've got ticks. What we see is I had a student one time. I asked him to take their digital probe and said, give me the temperature of that 100-pound cylinder. It's covered with ice. He looks at it and goes, 48 degrees. I said, really? I said, get closer. Oh, it's 38 degrees. I said, now get 90 degrees, get 1 inch away from it. He said, it's 15 below. So what we were seeing is that digital probe was getting additional readings, and it was merging all those to come up with a number. Plus, they only read well at 90 degrees from what you're trying to read. If they're a bounce at an angle, they don't read as well. And we found that on several different units. So whenever we do a class, we always have them get out their equipment and say, get your stuff out and let's play with it. Because I want you to do it now, not when you need it in the middle of something going on.
Mike, I'm just thinking about this. It probably wouldn't be a bad idea to put the temperature reading on the output of the liquid flare.
That's going to be useless.
What? I'm just trying to think of things.
Sorry, but it's going to be sub-zero on the output of the flare, because
no. I'm talking about where it's coming out of the liquid.
Or it's coming out of the tank.
Yeah. Before it starts expanding, before things start happening.
Okay, but you're going to have to test it on the other side of the valve, because as soon as it clears the valve, it's automatically auto-refrigerating.
Totally.
So as soon, because we can take our 1 inch lines, and I can put a shutoff valve halfway to the flare, turn it off, open all the valves on the tank, and I don't get any auto refrigeration until I get to that shutoff valve halfway through and we start opening it up.
And then all of a sudden it's boom.
Right, because that's where we're changing that phase, and it's starting to convert to vapor in that past that valve.
Right. Wow. So, all right. So, just one more question, because I'm thinking about one thing a couple of minutes back, is that when you said that the 331's on the side and you're going to be flaring the liquid and the vapor, you're saying you're setting up two different flares simultaneously.
Well, you can. You can use the same flare. I'm just saying when it's laying on its side, you've got multiple holes you can get to, and I want to burn it off as quick as I can. We set up and flared down a 331 in the New York's training academy, and we froze down a tanker because we were burning just vapor hard enough that we could freeze down tanker. Well, if we're doing, if we've got orifices in that tank, check valves, excess flows, internal valves that we can open up.
So what are you using, like an octopus, like where there's into one flare? Like how big's the flare? Like a 1-inch flare?
Yeah, it's a 1-inch flare, but what New York purchased was a manifold that allows them to take the full 2-inch line off the truck, go to the manifold. The manifold will let them run 6 1-inch flares at a time if they want to.
Oh,
I told them, when you light 6 of them, I want pictures.
Oh,
wow.
We'll do it next week.
Here's the thing. It doesn't matter whether it's 6 1-inch flares or 6 1/4-inch flares. You can only flare what you can get out of the tank. So the excess flow, the piping in the tank, everything is dictating what you can get out. So your system is always based off of the smallest orifice in the system. If you put a 1-inch flare on a 1/4-inch fitting, you got a 1/4-inch flare.
Right, that makes sense.
That makes total sense. So,
because you're choking it, yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, and just to go back, if you correct me if I'm wrong, but if you flare the vapor at the same time you're flaring the liquid, you're auto refrigerating. You're reducing the pressure. Am I going to reduce the total flow of the liquid? Like, wouldn't I go faster just allowing it so flow the liquid, let the pressure stay high in the tank so it pushes it out as fast as possible?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. We're talking about a tanker on its side. You don't have a vapor space. Everything you've got's in liquid. Liquid lines are in liquid. So we're hooking up to everything to get the liquid going faster.
But if I did have a vehicle that was in the correct position, my thinking is right? I wouldn't want to flare both at the same time. Okay.
Absolutely. Unless you had a concern about the structural integrity of the vehicle, then I would flare. I would drop some of the pressure, and then I would probably stop that so I could just keep my liquid flare going. Or if you were doing some other process where you were injecting or something, you wouldn't stress it any more than it had been in the past.
Because the flare controls your pressure, the vapor controls your pressure, the liquid controls your product.
Yes.
Yeah, that's good stuff, man.
That makes total freaking sense. Like, why good. I would think that you're either doing one or the other is, I guess, because we only do one or the other. But if given the right scenario,
I guess it would be by the tank size. I mean, like you said, 100-pounder probably not worth it. But if you get into these bobtails and these 331s, this is a viable operation that you can pull off.
Sure, and there again, it's all based on what do I need? Do I need to reduce pressure? Do I need to reduce volume? If all I want to do, for example, I steal pictures off the internet all the time. There's so much great learning material and training material out there. There was a department that was on a call. They had a bobtail that blew the relief valve out of the top. It actually came apart and came right straight out of the top. So there's a complete vapor release out of the top, all vapor. So what happened was it froze down the tank. So it went from a full tank to about 50%. So same operation is what we're talking about with a flare. If you need to change that relief valve, now you just go up there and unscrew what's left and put a new one in, and it's over.
Right, and then it'll just repressurize to its normal stuff, but it's
it warms up.
Yeah. Interesting. I like this.
I'm trying to think of the valve assembly on like a 100-pound tank. The spitter valve is in a different, I'm going to call it a channel. It's not the right word, but it's a different
tube.
It's a different tube than the actual OPD type valve, right? Like,
Well, a 100-pound cylinder doesn't have an OPD. They use a POL or a service valve.
okay,
There's a couple of different ones. You can get them that have a liquid withdrawal and a vapor withdrawal, or the typical tank that you see is just vapor withdrawal. So there is no tube inside it. It's all vapor coming out of the top of it.
because for us, Bob, we've had runs there's areas in the city that they use propane exclusively. They can't get gas down there, and the houses are insanely close together. It's almost like a beach community, and we've had them leaking liquid at the bottom, and that would have been a perfect scenario because it took forever to flare off because we didn't want to touch the tank. It was too big to flip over. It was a big tank. And
Probably a 420 or something.
The entire time it was leaking the propane liquid out, and we were just for hours we were just constantly in basements just making sure there was nothing pooling up anywhere. So
Now,
even though it doesn't seem like, out in huge spaces, but in small confined areas, that would have been a perfect opportunity to water inject. And I was just trying to think of how to do it on a tank like that. What do you kind of go one through the spitter valve and one through the regular valve?
well, you'll inject and pull vapor off the same spot. So if you've got one leaking like that, if you start flaring and you flare it down to what there again, gauge 0, we know it's cold inside. You turn around, you connect, you inject water. We've got that ice plug going inside. We've got water inside. And now you can take and hook up your flare, and you can actually start putting a little water in, getting higher pressures because you're now increasing the pressure with your water inside,
Right.
and pushing it out.
And you're pushing the liquid up to the valve.
Well, if you've got two openings, if you've got one opening, it's really tough to do because you can't do it. But if you get that ice plug in the bottom we talked about a minute ago, now you could roll the tank over on its side, and now you're going to get liquid out of it because the ice plug's locking up the bottom of it. Until it thaws out, and when it thaws out, flip her back up, go through the process of refrigerating it again, and just let her go.
I wonder if you could take so let's say you had that scenario. It was flipped over. You were pulling some liquid out. It's starting to melt. Could I take a CO2 extinguisher and hit that spot and try to refreeze it?
If you've got liquid coming out of it, and you might be able to do a freeze patch on the bottom.
Okay.
So you've got liquid coming out because it's going to, once it starts coming out of that tank, it automatically starts refrigerating. So you might be able to shove a rag up on there, wedge it up on there with something kind of gently, and just let it freeze itself shut.
Makes a lot of sense.
It does make a lot of sense.
One of the papers I put together they talked about merging tactics. So working in the shop, there were times that you had to crawl between the tandem axles to get up and work on an internal valve. And now as a firefighter, I know that's an impossible task with an air pack, and you're wearing your SCBA and your mask and all your gear, and you just can't get there. So if we take and water inject and get a leak coming out of the bottom of it, now we get underneath there. There's no more billowing vapor cloud. There's no more hazard.
Right,
You get up there. Yeah, you get up there and have a look, and now you go, oh. So now you do your wrap with a rag, a towel, your T-shirt, whatever you're going to wrap it with, and stop. Let the water in the tank bleed through the rag, and as soon as that leak converts back to liquid propane, now it's going to cause its own freeze patch.
I like this, Ron. Ron, we're going to have to talk more about this soon. I'm
I'll
sure there's
bet
going to be a
more.
million questions.
I'm still. It's funny, like we sit and we say all the time, right? Like think like a child, come in with no preconceived notions. And the reason that Ron started talking before the interview, and we were like, no, say nothing. I don't want to know anything beforehand because I want the reaction to be real.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You learn something from somebody every day. I love it.
I love it, Ron. Thank you so much for coming on. Give us a couple. Tell everybody where they can find it if they want more information from you.
You can go to my website. It's respondertraining.com. They're more than welcome to come out there. They can send me something through a link.
Yeah.
You can call me. I'll be more than happy to give you my number. It's 765-524-4848. Reach out. And I'll, if you're on the scene, send me pictures. I'll try to help you if I can. If I can, I'll try to help find somebody that can help us.
You're going to Baltimore, yes?
Yeah, it's going to be at Searcy the first week of June for their program. Do a couple of demonstrations for them out there at Searcy, and then I'll be at Baltimore the next week.
All right.
Awesome, man. We'll see you out there.
I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ron.
Thanks, guys.
If you have a moment, please head over to iTunes and leave us a positive review. And don't forget to check out the book, National Emergency Response Hazmat Drills, or NERD, on Amazon.
Well, that wraps up another episode of the HazMat Guys.
You can find us on Facebook, Twitter, and our YouTube channel at the HazMat Guys. And take a moment to call our comment hotline at 843-628-1484 and go to www.thehazmatguys.com and sign up for the newsletter.
We seriously look forward to your feedback about any of the information provided, and we also want to hear about interesting incidents that you were a part of. So you can send us a note at feedback@thehazmatguys.com. And remember, any of the information that you share with us, if we put it on air, can always remain anonymous.
Remember, guys, don't just get on the job. Get into the job.